He writes here, remember the note? I was indirectly called an anti-white slur over Go Free card. That's right. Dropped out of my book on my way to the pool. Later that day, a note was taped on the wall with anti-whiteisms. I trembled and cried. It shook me to my core. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely infuriating. I was so furious that this lovely woman, Samantha Fox, whose mother is a survivor of Dresden, that this lovely woman, she had one of my Go Free cards. This is Go Free, and it has the website on it, and it fell out of her book somewhere where she lives, building where she lives, and some anti-white absolute piece of garbage found the little business card, looked up my website, and you look on my website, you look here on Go Free, and it says dignity for all, even white people. Make it very clear that this is about loving. And the first video you see when you come to my channel, which this person, this anti-white, white piece of filth, actually saw, was a video where I was saying that this is about loving the white race. This is about serving white well-being. Everyone is welcome. No immutable characteristic is excluded. And absolutely coming from a place of love. This anti-white white person saw this video, saw that all we do is care, not no harm to anyone else. All we do is also care about white people. And this person made a note. This note put in a public place, and this terrorized dear Miss Samantha Fox, a wonderful, gentle, beautiful lady in our community. Gentle as the day is long. Gentle as a spring rain on a field of tulips. This lovely, gentle and beautiful as that. This lovely, soft-spoken woman. Put this note up. And this note says, big placard, where everyone could see, and it says, someone misplaced their bigotry card, and then it has glued or taped to it the Go Free card, and then underneath of that, they write, just don't be, and then the anti-white word racist. So what do you think about this? I'm sorry, Samantha. What do you think about this anti-white piece of shit? I am furious over this. Here you have a single woman terrorizing, beautiful and gentle as spring rain on tulips, and she's got to come across this terrorizing note that is attacking her in a public way. This anti-white could have just picked it up and thrown it away. Could have just picked it up and maybe set it up on the counter so that, well, I don't know what this no white guilt stuff is, but I'll just set it on the counter here so that anybody else comes through the walkway, if it's theirs, they can pick it up. They could have done that. Or they could have picked it up and said, let me look it up. Oh, they no harm to any other races. They invite all the other races to participate in caring about white people. Well, that seems kind of weird since I'm an anti-white, so I'm just going to toss it. No, this person hates white people so deeply that he or she had to make a public spectacle, a public hearing, a public lynching of this dear lady in our community. By God, if I lived anywhere, if I lived within riding distance, I would be there. And I would put up a big sign in that housing unit. A nice big sign to the anti-whites that live there. I would want them all to know, whoever this person was, no, whoever you are, it is not the community that condemns Samantha Fox for caring about the health and welfare and well-being of white babies that is condemned. It is the community that condemns you, who want to inflict injury, who want to white erase Western kind so deeply, so sickly, so with such mental infection that you would go to these lengths to embarrass, humiliate, taunt, and terrorize a beautiful, older, gentle woman in your housing complex. You are garbage, whoever you are. You are filth. I hope you are watching, because it is the community, the great rising community of white people all around the Western world, and non-white and people of different sexual orientations. They're coming. Everyone is coming to this conclusion that they are seeing white erasure. They don't agree with anti-whiteism. They want to put an end to the victimization of the white race. You are the one who is immoral. You are the one who is the bastard. You are the one who has earned public condemnation. You are the one who should have people outside of your place of work letting everyone know that you are the one who is immoral and unethical. Mrs. Samantha Fox is the angel. You are the devil. You sicken me. My dear lady, if given the opportunity, I will take you by the hand. We will have a lovely lunch And I will make sure to put up a nice big poster, and I will make it known, nice and loud, to everyone in that building at the top of my lungs, that anyone who is anti-white and who wants to inflict injury on Western kind and white babies has a problem with me. And if they want to come out and talk about that problem, they're welcome to come out and talk about that problem. I will have that conversation. Thank you very much, Samantha. Absolutely sickening. And you know, that tells you where an anti-white is coming from. That anti-white, what did that anti-white, a woman most likely in this case, what did she want to happen? She wanted a public lynching. She wanted to terrorize. Does that sound like a moral person? Does that sound like that's someone that we can reach some sort of ground where we can both be amenable to? Okay, you can have your space, I'll have mine. This is what I've said all along. These are two irreconcilable moral structures that are freight trains on the same track, full speed, heading toward each other. This is why you have to take the, in whatever persuasive way you have to use, the conservatives, the nationalists, the whatever they are in your midst, the Republicans, whatever they are, you have to take them in whatever metaphorical, persuasive way that it'll work by the collar, and you have to say, they're not going to allow you to have your backyard, idiot. You better realize that they want you socially lynched. Rest assured that this filthy, evil, anti-white bitch, that if Samantha Fox was working somewhere, this woman would be lobbying to have Samantha Fox lose her job, so that what would happen? Samantha Fox wouldn't have food, so that Samantha Fox wouldn't have medication, so that Samantha Fox wouldn't have a friend's shoulder to cry on, so that she wouldn't have community, so that she would be isolated and terrorized and frightened, psychologically harmed. That is what this piece of garbage wanted. That is not a moral person. That is not a moral structure. That is an intent to kill. God Almighty. Let's get it right. And let's have that conversation, bitch. Let's have that conversation. I'm happy to tell you what you are. I'm happy to convey to you the blackness of the soul in your chest. Just don't be anti-white. Just don't be anti-white. You want to eradicate Western kind? Well, you go do that somewhere. In our story, you are the devil. And now I want you to try to talk your way out of it being a positive moral step to erase a people from planet Earth. Go for it.
The following is brought to you in part by a grant from the Foundation for White Wellbeing.
They say we need a hero riding tall through the dust, but he's already here, standing strong with us. Jason's a name, and he won't bow down. He cares for our folk when the world turns round. No white guilt, he sings it plain. He don't play their villain in their crooked play. Loves his banner, not spite or shame. No white guilt, Jason's a name. They tried to shun him, say he's out of line, but he's steady in the truth, and the man won't hide. Not about hating, it's about what's ours, holding on to kinfolk through the midnight hours. No white guilt, he sings it plain. He don't play their villain playing. Love's his banner, not spite or shame. No white guilt, Jason's the name. Most don't know it yet, but the word's gonna spread. There's a way to walk tall with hope instead. If you're tired of the weight they're strapping on you, take a lesson from the man, let your spirit shine through. No white guilt, he sings it plain. He don't play their villain in their crooked playing. Love's his banner, not spite or shame. No white guilt, Jason's the name. Yeah, the hero's here, don't you forget. Most just don't know it yet.
I want you to reach out in love. I want you to let those brothers and sisters around the base, let them know that even though the anti-whites wield so much power, that we are winning every contest with them, and that it's only a matter of time. Tell them that they can be more than they are. Tell them that they can stand up for Western kind, Western civilization, and everyone who lives in Western civilization of all immutable characteristics. Tell them that there's a way that they can stand up for it in love, with the moral high ground. Be gentle with them at first. Coming out of a story that you thought was the real world is one of the hardest things that folks can do. If you go there with a true spirit and a true heart, with humility, you're going to win more souls than you'll ever turn away. And in the end, all of that will redound to the glory of our people and the reclamation of our destiny. Drowning in the argument, the anti-white says, what exactly is anti-white? You have got to be animated with the righteous passion of reclaiming our destiny. We are the heroes of this era. Happy Thanksgiving. Rollin' going free, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday, Church of the West. Your hierarch is with you, and it's a glad thing for us to be together, even when we just have this terrible news of 2 National Guardsmen being shot, potentially will perish from their injuries. We'll see exactly what ends up happening. Let me know if you can hear me all right. It has been quite a busy day for yours truly, and so had a little bit of a longer intro to getting underway, but it looks like just about everything is up and running with a couple more things for me to have to do. Audio is good, says the Tree Godfather. Thank you for that. And like I said, just getting a couple final things up and running. We have, and we're going to be learning about this, I guess, together. Share your thoughts with me about this shooting and what you all have, this anti-white terrorism, and what you all know about it so far. I know there's a lot of rumors being spread, as is often the case with these things. But one thing is true, is that it's anti-white terrorism. The National Guard represents the defense of law and order that is still colored white by Western kind, not completely white erased yet. And as a result of being not anti-white enough, we have the phenomenon of anti-whites waging endless war of every imaginable type, stealing elections. I mean, more coming out about the stolen election And I don't know if they're still banning people for that or not. So maybe it wasn't stolen. But I know that the company successfully sued a number of entities for pointing out what happened with these election. And apparently this past election, some astronomical number of new voters were found in New Jersey. I've been able to follow all of that news. This is why it's so important to implement a strategy that empowers the individual so that in their environments, with their talents, with their finances, with their abilities, with their contacts, they can effectuate white positive outcomes rather than trying to deal with all of these different things with an individual or a group, and especially when the group is just centering an individual so that they can celebrate, aggrandize, etc. While we're together, you will tag me as No White Guilt across the numerous platforms that we are streaming on. Dude Bro Moment platform, aka Entropy, YouTube, of course, and Premium Rumble, D Live, Odyssey, all available. You can also financially gift yours truly on Entropy, Dude Bro Moment platform, Entropy platform. The app that permits cash, Subscribe Star, also up and running, D Live, and Premium Rumble as well. And you can comment right here on X with your thoughts about what's going on with this anti-white terror attack. Just feet from, I mean, this is Northwest Washington, D.C., just feet from Donald Trump and the White House. And certainly can be legitimately measured in feet when you are cities away or states away or certainly continents away, countries away. It's great to see the great Dallas Malloy is in the house. She said, sound is good over there on Premium Rumble. Thank you so very much. Savage Monday is here. Land of the Fake is here. Good to see you all over there. You own that house, the house of Premium Rumble. Good to see everybody over there. We were going to primarily be talking about, actually, there was a video that I wanted to break down, a short video about a anti-white Jewish woman in the United Kingdom being asked, what about, everything being changed here in the United Kingdom? And she says, well, it's a good thing. And here are the reasons. And I was going to share why they're not good reasons, how you could easily destroy her, where she's coming from with her anti-white mindset. In that on the street interview. Maybe we'll get to that another time. We're going to be following up today with a Rebel Roundtable, as we have done the past several Wednesdays, and I hope you'll be able to attend and you'll take the mic and will give us your points there. And we'll do that for about an hour to two, roughly. So I was going to cover that, not going to be able to cover that. I was also going to cover, and I will be talking about it here today, in fact, the seedy, wretched, dank environs of the anti-non-white movement, which really, I mean, you can't even call these people white sympathetic. They just use the claim of being pro-white to make their anti-non-white or pro-violence or historical revisionism sound noble. Because without that, it's not very noble, is it? And so they're just, it's just an excuse. And we have to accept it for what it is. And the internet, one thing that it has done well is that it has beautifully distilled that reality. Please take the opportunity to let people know that we are together, that we're going free. Church of the West. I see the great Franklinator is here. And Rapunzel, the Tree Godfather, Masumik, Dennis. So many champions have shown up. Let folks know that we're together. We are live. We're going to be discussing this. We're going to be discussing some of these things. And in the anti-non-white sphere, and how absolutely corrupt the charlatans that are there, the tedium of the charlatans, the mountebanks, the toadies, the unethical behavior, channeling people into destructive addictions and raking money off of them. And all of these people circulate in these same little cliques. So we'll be mentioning that. And God, you are so freaking lucky to be here. Let me just say, you are so freaking lucky to be here. Because everywhere you look, I mean, you actually have these people and this stuff coming out about Lucas Gage and leaving another one of these secret cabal groups where they talk about anti-Jew stuff and anti-black stuff, and him escaping from that, and the accusations that he's making. They're grifting all of this money off of these poor souls, these white victimized people who apparently are too stupid to realize that they're being taken advantage of. And these content creators justifying their fleecing of their followers by saying, well, you've got to have money to fight the Jews. If the Jews print the currency, there is no way to defeat them in that arena. Zero chance. So anybody making that claim to you is a liar who has come to fleece you. And of course, we have the revelation of so much this being turned on, turned off, turned on feature showing where these accounts have been started, and discovering that so many of them are corrupt. They claim to be American or in America, and they're for America, and they're for the people in America. And then you find out they live in Turkey or India or Vietnam or somewhere in the Middle East or somewhere in Central South America. Of course, we've uncovered over the years so many of these people who show up claiming to be pro-Hitler, Hitlerist, idolizing the Nazis and National Socialist ideology and all of this sort of business. And they show up and they attack us. They attack yours truly because I don't slander Jews endlessly. I don't care that they're born Jewish. What I care about is anti-whiteism and the infliction of harm on white people. And they attack and they say, well, then you must be a Jew if you're not attacking the Jews with us. The only way to fight for white people is to be anti-non-white. And we find out that these so-called Aryans are actually full-blooded non-white Central South Americans. We find out that they're full-blooded Arabs. We find out that they're again and again and again. And then, of course, we covered recently Lauren Southern and what she was able to reveal about what is widespread, permanent, will only get worse. And that is the grifting nature of content creators given to the greatest sensationalism possible to bring in the most eyeballs, to bring in the most donations. And not only that, but the actors behind the scenes, state actors, private entities, NGOs, on and on, coming in, influencing the influencers, paying them, threatening them to get their outcomes. Of course, this was the case, and I've been telling you that all along, haven't I? And so now you realize what you're really up against when it comes to the advocacy. You don't have a lot of choices. There aren't a lot of options if you want to actually advocate for Western kind and arrest our victimization. There is one premier entity that you can financially gift that is, or you donate to, that is a 501c3. It is the Foundation for White Wellbeing.org. You can head on over there and you can donate there, and that money will go to white positive activities like you see here today, this evening. You can head on over to NoWhiteGuiltCollectibles.com for some options there. NoWhiteGuilt.org as well for so many options and so many tools to defend yourself and reclaim our destiny, putting an end to our victimization. I jumped into the great Shade Tree today, and I heard brilliant things being shared by the true champions in service to white well-being over there. I ended up taking the mic a little bit toward the end of that space today, which is at 2 p.m. every single day here on X. Make sure you're a part of it. I retweeted the Tree Godfather. So many others are posting it and would like you to be a part of it. Again, happy Thanksgiving. I guess there are going to be two families that are not having a happy Thanksgiving from West Virginia. It was West Virginia National Guard in Washington, D.C. And the National Guard is, of course, all over Washington, D.C. right now because of Donald Trump's efforts to put a big forceful Band-Aid on the results, the consequences of anti-white ideology and the anti-white domination of the social morality across Western civilization. We talk here extensively about how that's not going to arrest this. It can only diminish it temporarily. And we see that diminution in these cities where the National Guard have been sent and other federal law enforcement Again, this is just a Band-Aid over top of a social morality problem, a cancer that is devouring Western civilization. And if you don't address it, you're not going to be able to fix it with force. And as I said, eventually you'll have the population shooting the soldiers, and the soldiers will have to shoot back. And today that came true. Another prediction come true by yours truly. Today I was, and I don't know if it was related. I find it would be strange or just an interesting coincidence if it wasn't related. But today, around the time that this anti-white terrorist, whoever this ends up being, shot down 2 National Guardsmen, and we still don't know, despite my efforts, don't know who they are. And are they 2 young white kids from West Virginia just trying to serve their country, and there are no opportunities for them because they're white males? Is that what it is? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. It's anti-white terrorism nonetheless, because it is the representation of, as I say, what's left of the white race and our norms of controlling and maintaining civility and law and order and punishing criminals and etc. But we see where the National Guard and other federal officers have been placed in cities across the country. Obviously, we see them in Washington, D.C. You see them in Chicago. They've been placed in a number of cities. And still the news is saying, even though you see this precipitous decline in crime and drugs on the street and trash on the streets and etc., they still say, is the National Guard making it worse? Are they, by being there, are they going to instigate these people to be even more violent and commit more crime? They can say this in the face of the evidence because it fits with the anti-white narrative. And that's what everyone has been programmed with. And it seems like a legitimate question to the population as a consequence. Now, just because you can say with your conscious mind, that makes no sense, or you might know somebody else that'll be able to say with their conscious mind, oh, that makes no sense, just take a look at the data. That's not what governs the world. It's the subconscious mind and what it's programmed with that governs the world. I know you don't understand it. If you're not going free, if you're new, if you're in some other community and you're just checking shit out, I know you don't understand it. Stick around and figure out how it works so that you can be a participant and advocate in the reclamation of our destiny. Or you can fuck off. You can bugger off with your dumb ass. We want nothing to do with you. We don't have time for any more of these adult children, Nyatni, following them all the way until they die of old age. That's what's become of the white race. We're going to sit around and we're going to talk about revisionist history. What really is this and what really is that? Go to hell. Children, go to hell. The soldiers are getting shot on. Their families, are they going to have, this is going to be their Thanksgiving for the rest of their lives, especially if these soldiers end up dying as a consequence of this, or are made into vegetables, like so many of the rest of you who who claim to care about white well-being and our people. So what will that end up being for them? Are you going to think about them at all? Or are you just going to think about the anti-white terrorist? What if you find out that it's a white guy? What if it ends up being some white guy? Then what are you going to say? Oh, I know what you're going to say because I've been here for 3 decades. You're going to say the Jews made him do it because you're a loser. You're going to leave. You're going to go from this. You show up here. You'll hear what we have to say. You're going to go back to some community where they'll be trying to push on some new cryptocurrency on you that they'll rug pull. They'll say, oh, this is Jew-proof, a la Stu Peters, a wigger rapper who made videos with a Hispanic girl. How? This is unreal. None of these people care about the white race. We have to shut this down for all time. Sick and tired of it. Here we got to look again. So we're going to talk about this, and then we're going to get briefly into that. And earlier this year, when the new administration was coming in January, and we were all covering that and talking about that, there was an anti-white terrorist who was a fervent follower of Nick Fuentes, non-white. So we're going to talk about him and how did that get kind of lost in the weeds? And why doesn't the media talk about it? It's kind of an interesting thing. Are they insulating and protecting him? What's going on? So we'll jump into that for a minute. So again, you can discover how lucky you are to be here in service to white well-being. Great to see everybody here. Juliet is here. Juliet is saying Fox News is reporting it's a 29-year-old Afghani here on a Biden visa. Okay, that's interesting. I'll have to pull that up and see. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see if I can find that myself. And I suppose some of these other outlets will be taking a look at what Fox is reporting. Now, remember, again, when it comes to the internet, you never know if you're going to get something that is, you never know if you're going to get something that is legitimate or just, remember, the internet is all about making the content creator popular, famous, infamous, rich, supplied with sex partners. That's all it is. This is the worst tabloid journalism you will ever find in your life. What I said on the space earlier is that you can only trust what you can take away from the internet and use in your life. If you can't take it away from the internet and use it successfully in your life for something positive, it's nothing. Nothing but lies. Lawmakers from across the political spectrum began expressing support amid news that 2 West Virginia National Guard members were shot blocks away from the White House Wednesday afternoon. I was going to say, I find it a strange coincidence that when this happened, around the time that this happened, a Black Hawk flew over low and fast, headed right to the district. I don't know if it had anything to do with it, but that's a peculiar thing to have happen. Just earlier today. After news of the shooting, members of West Virginia delegation were quick to respond as Vice President Blowjob Vance and Trump referred to the suspect shooter as an animal. He is an anti-white animal. And I was reading that Trump has sent another 500. He's ordered another 500 National Guardsmen to Washington, D.C. This is not the way you want to live. This is not sustainable. You're not going to be able to have cities and suburbia with soldiers on every corner to make sure that anti-whiteism isn't just randomly murdering white people. That's not sustainable. We have to recapture our destiny. And it's not through historical revisionism. It's not through complaining about Jews having power. It's not going to be by way of data showing that black people commit crime. Quote, the animal that shot 2 National Guardsmen were both being critically wounded and now in 2 separate hospitals is also severely wounded himself. But regardless, will pay a very steep price, Trump wrote on Truth Social. God bless the National Guard and our military and law enforcement. These are truly great people. I, as President of the United States and everyone associated with the office of the presidency, am with you. West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey, Republican, said he and his wife were devastated to hear the news. Okay, Kashin Patel had to share some things. Both of West Virginia's 2 Republican senators also chimed in, offering thoughts and prayers. And by the way, I have to say, it's not senseless. There's nothing senseless about it. It's anti-white terrorism. Don't allow people. You're going to be at Thanksgiving tomorrow. Anti-whiteism did this. If you're going to be around friends or family, anti-whiteism did this. And if friends or family are anti-white, you let them know that they're complicit in this behavior. They're complicit in that young white woman being set on fire. It's their ideas that caused this. Let them know. I mean, here you have Mark Dice doing a video. I was going to pull that up as well. Didn't have time. Show in his video from today or yesterday, an anti-white guy, a pig, advising people on his media platform to not allow any racist comments to be used at Thanksgiving. Don't just smile it. That's how the anti-whites defeated Western civilization. You better start fighting on the battlefield where the West was lost. You better get into the fight on the battlefield where the West was lost. That's what they do every single holiday. That's where the West was lost. And if somebody there is they want to keep the peace and they're like, hey, don't get into it. You say to that person, then you tell them to keep their mouth shut about their anti-whiteism. That's what's causing all of this. And I'm not going to tolerate it. End of the conversation. Tragedy transcends party lines. 2 families now have to spend Thanksgiving in agony for their loved ones who did nothing wrong but answer the call to duty. Who knows who said that? Nobody calling out anti-whiteism, of course. I'm not seeing. Can somebody DM me the news that this is that Juliet is talking about? Direct message me on Twitter the news that Juliet is talking about, that this is an Afghani, an anti-white Afghani terrorist is what is being shared here. And yeah, but ban this Monty talking about pre-sale for crypto tokens. Anybody talking about get-rich schemes, anybody talking about how you've got to invest in this or you've got to invest in that, anybody talking about this new meme coin or this new cryptocurrency coin, and we're only going to be able, and you need to get yourself rich to be able to to survive the collapse and all this kind of garbage. They're charlatans. For fuck's sake, white race. Stop being so gullible. Stop wanting to be duped. Stop being the big, floppy, loser white boobies that the white race has been. These are charlatans coming into your midst to make themselves rich and to run off with your money. And in some cases, they're going to try to justify it to themselves, saying they got to have money to be able to fight the Jew. Go to hell. Yeah, any of this get money, make money, anything like that is always going to be a charlatan. I've never done anything like that because my mission has always been pure. Never will do anything like that. I will never tolerate it. I will never allow anybody to prey on this community as they do in other communities. There must be zero tolerance for violence of any kind against the brave men and women in uniform who selflessly serve the communities. Okay, so it's not really going into exactly. So essentially what happened at around midday today, I guess it was, an anti-white terrorist drove up in his car, said to be a male, and pulled out a firearm and shot nearly dead 2 National Guardsmen. Someone returned fire from, maybe it was also National Guardsmen, maybe it was law enforcement, and the shooter himself was also shot in his vehicle and then taken into custody. Everyone was rushed off to the hospitals, and as you can see, the National Guardsmen are in critical condition. One of the reports I read claimed that at least one of them was shot in the head. Clearly an act of anti-white terrorism. Anti-white terrorism. As a consequence, and let me also point out, this is in Northwest. This is a couple blocks from the White House. This is in Northwest D.C. So let me drive home the point. Safest part of Washington, D.C. Northwest, Southwest, safest part of Washington, where the tourists go. Where if they're going to make a commercial about come to D.C., it's going to be over there. We condemn the violence. Why don't you condemn the anti-whiteism? Do something effective for once. I bet you if I search for the word senseless in this article, it'll come up. Lone gunman came around the corner in an ambush-style attack and opened fire on the 2 National Guardsmen. Other members of the National Guard nearby reportedly heard the gunfire and intervened, restraining the suspect after he had been shot, Carroll said. So maybe it was National Guardsmen that returned fire. Fox News article at the top of their website is what I was just reading from. Don't see anything about the individual being named or identified. Let's see what this is. See if there's any updates on the New York Post. No, that's not it. That ain't it either. Three people were shot, including 2 National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. Wednesday afternoon, leading to a lockdown at the White House. How about that? I also heard or read that the suspect wasn't cooperating, so I'm guessing that they were trying to get more information, maybe access to the phone, more information to see if there was some sort of coordination, other attackers. Are there going to be? Is there an imminent risk of more attackers? And they said, well, he wasn't cooperating. And so I thought to myself, a good beating could make him cooperate. A good beating that lasts until he cooperates. Just my thoughts on the matter. Associated Press noted that the condition of the injured guardsman is not known. This is according to Breitbart. The Joint DC Task Force confirmed the incident occurred in the vicinity of the White House. What is this? You're showing them arresting. I guess they got the person on the ground here. I don't know. I mean, if I were there, I wouldn't be able to. I don't know. I don't know if he would make it to a jury. All right. Great news here. We'll pause for a second before I put this up on the screen. Great news from AAA. I want to ask everybody to send prayers and positive energy to AAA and his family. He underwent a procedure today, an emergency procedure for a health condition, and he's reporting that he is home. The procedure went well, and he's thanking everybody for the prayers. God bless you, brother, and best wishes to you for a speedy recovery. So let's get some prayers together and some positive energy. Send them over to this guy. He's got a wife and children that he takes care of, and new member to the community. Really hope it turns out for the best. Speedy recovery, and whatever that you have to do to make sure that you never have to deal with this kind of thing again. Deep, heartfelt wishes to community member AAA. God bless you, man. The Great Clean One has reposted the stream. So has Noodles, and so has Ivan. What an amazing crew they are, aren't they? An amazing bunch of chat. In fact, I'm going to get a specific salute out for this guy. God bless you. AAA even back from the hospital after this emergency procedure, and this guy's right to it. Big salutes to AAA. Not messing around at all. After the big procedure, he says, I'm getting right back into it. God bless him. That's the kind of dedication you need. That's the kind. Could you imagine somebody's in one of these other communities just got out of this emergency, a serious procedure. No joke. Just got out of this serious procedure, and I'm ready to hate on Jews. Nah. We do have a question of the day. Since I bothered to get it up and find it, we'll post it. If your dog could talk, what's the first thing it would say? And if you have a feline, you can say your feline instead. Maybe you have a rabbit. I am a big, fond lover of rabbits. I've had rabbits on and off throughout my life. They're great little pets. Take care of themselves like cats do. And yet they are still a pack animal relative to cats. So if your dog could talk, what's the first thing it would say? Dog or cat, guinea pig or rabbit? What's the first thing it would say? If you have an answer for the question of the day, tag me as @NoWhiteGuilt Q1 if you would like me to see it, potentially read it on the stream here today while we are together. Otherwise, you could just share in the live chat, whichever platform you are on, and get to know your fellow community members. Maybe you don't have a pet and you would just like to pretend like you do, and it would say something zany. I'm sure Ivan has something interesting to share, and just want to have a laugh. We have the funniest people across the totality of the implicit and explicit white, positive, white, sympathetic spheres. and funny folks here, because you got to be witty, you got to be smart to be funny. So if you have an answer, I don't know that I have an answer. I don't have any pet at the moment. What would one of the previous pets say? Probably, yes, sir. Probably, yes, sir, would be the thing that my pets would say most often. I don't ask them. I don't baby them. I am their Lord, and they treat me well, and I treat them well. And that's how a true leader should be. Cool Papa J Magic is here. Westman is here. Says, my dog would say, I love you. I'm hungry. Let's go outside. That sounds right. Why not? I guess a lot of pets. I think a dog is going to, like, the main thing is going to be walk, park, run. Let's go ahead and pop up on the screen while we potentially speak to that. If we can find it. A scene from the incident here today as they were taking into custody what could be an Afghani from a Biden-era program. Okay, Juliet said she saw it on the ticker on Fox News. I could pull up, I can't show Fox News, but I could definitely pull up the channel and see what's rolling on their screen.
And trying to explain away the identity.
Mute this. And okay, right now, no ticker on the screen. They're not reporting on this act of terrorism at the moment. Let me know if entropy is working. Somebody can maybe just type a hello. All right, we got Rapunzel sent a Afghan national, Ramanullah Nala Lakhanwal, who came to the U.S. in 2021, withdrawal ID'd as alleged terrorist gunman in shooting of 2 National Guard members. Is there a picture of him? Let me look in this article. One of the things that seemed really suspicious, I'm not seeing any photographs of him. These photographs that were immediately shared on X, and so many content creators, again, for their own popularity, trying to get out ahead of everyone else for their own enrichment, popularity, etc. Was they were showing a photograph of a guy naked going into the back of an ambulance, and he didn't appear to be shot anywhere. So that was the first thing that I was curious about. Like, is this guy really, could this guy be the guy, when we're told that he was shot at least 3 times in some of these articles that I read? Lakhanwal, who entered the country under Operation Allies Welcome, and what we just had in Northern Virginia here just several months ago, another one of these Allies Welcome, who decided to shoot at the police when they pulled him over, Fairfax County Police, when they pulled his ass over. and then he was shot to death. So all these allies, how about they stay in the shitholes that they are from? How about, and don't tell me they're not a shithole, because in the very next breath you'll say, we have to let them in because they're hunted there and it's violent there and they're intimidated there and they are, and it's chaotic there, and but don't call it a shithole. Two soldiers who were patrolling the streets when the suspect launched his rampage were taken to a nearby hospital in critical condition, authorities said. Why, God, what hospital? If they were taken to Howard, they're dead. The suspect, now saying shot 4 times, was hauled away nearly naked in an ambulance. So where was he shot? If that's the guy, where was he shot? Unless that's not a different person. Police have not revealed a motive. I wonder what the motive could be. It's anti-whiteism. This is an anti-white terrorist. Anybody, by the way, and this is something you could take a value. Anybody who claims to be an advocate for Western kind, who doesn't categorize this simply and directly as anti-white terrorism, is detrimental to you. Don't listen to another word they say. Unfollow them, block them even. They want to give you some sort of interesting, arcane take. That is why we are in the state we're in. Law enforcement sources said the FBI is initially treating the shooting as a potential act of terrorism. Really? Now, since these troops were shot, this can be treated like FBI agents being gunned down because they're acting as law enforcement. So they absolutely can. It opens up a door to a whole other range of charges. D.C. Mayor Bow Wowser told reporters Wednesday afternoon it was a targeted shooting in which one individual appeared to target these guardsmen. The shooting, described as an ambush, erupted near Farragut Square, Northwest D.C. Nice. Expensive. Hey, so just think about the white flighting. Just keep white flighting, you selfishly individualistic asshole white people. Just keep leaving the rest of us behind. Trump was in Florida. Vance was in Kentucky, probably donning dashiki robes and a dot on his head so he could fit in. Trump has since ordered, it says here, 500 additional National Guards in Washington, D.C. We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure our cities. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth told reporters Wednesday. Well, for how long? For how long? President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army to the National Guard to add 500 additional troops to Washington, D.C. This will only stiffen our resolve to ensure that we make Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful. The drop in crime has been historic. The increase in safety and security has been historic. So, by the way, another proof of what we teach here, that the reason things are so bad is because of the white erasure of our norms. Now, remember, everywhere else you go, they tell you, well, the reason things are so bad is because blacks, is because Hispanics, is because etc. That's the reason things are so bad. Well, who was right? Because you can apply the norms of the white race. You can apply the norms of Western kind, and then suddenly there's almost no crime. Suddenly there's almost, the streets are clean. So who was right? Unbelievable. It's such a disgrace that I have had to struggle along year after year with a cadre of genius, heroic people, a very small cadre, while these people who get everything wrong have these inflated, colossal-sized audiences. Who was right? I was right. There were approximately 2,100 National Guard troops assigned to D.C., including 900 from D.C. National Guard and roughly 1,200 from other areas, the Pentagon said. Last week, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to withdraw the National Guard from D.C., but paused that order from getting into effect until December 11 to give time for an appeal. Roughly 90,000 Afghans, where all of them go back. Every single one go back. Every single one. You're not welcome here. There's a biospiritual incompatibility. I would not fit in the environments you all create. You don't fit in the environments that my people create. You're going back. So 100,000. And I bet that is on the conservative side of the actual number. Were allowed entry into the United States, became eligible for special immigrant visas under the Biden administration. So is it Biden's fault? No, it's anti-whiteism's fault. Get ready for all the cucks out there on your timelines, many of whom will be a beautiful white woman with jugs and a low-cut top. And it's actually Sinwar in Mogadishu or Algeria that is behind the account. Get ready for all of them to say how horrible the Biden and the Democrat administration was, and will ever be, to gin up people talking on their thread who are Republican voters and conservative people, complaining also about Biden and the leftists, so that more of that attention gets them a bigger paycheck. In June, U.S. officials identified 55 Afghan evacuees on the terrorist watch list who had immigrated from the Middle East country during the botched operation, according to the Justice Department Inspector General report. The report found that the Biden administration failed to properly vet U.S.-bound refugees. So that was the problem. Oh, we just should have vetted them properly. No, we shouldn't be white erasing the United States. That's the problem. We shouldn't be white erasing Western countries. That's the problem. How the hell are you going to vet people from countries where no records are kept? Or can you look at these places? What kind of records, if they're keeping records, are kept? Seriously. We could have vetted them better. Nine remain. And so get ready for the MAGA, the conservative content creators based in Mogadishu that are beautiful white women with their jugs hanging out, long legs, and every now and then they get on there with photographs of themselves in bathing suits. Get ready for them to complain about how, what do you think would have happened if we would have properly vetted them? And then 500 comments later, they get their paycheck in Mogadishu. However, 9 remained in the terror database as of 2024, and 8 were in the U.S. Track them down, terrorists. If they're terrorists, why can't you just execute them? Track them down, maybe shoot them on the spot, or take them into custody and then take them for proper euthanasia. How many more white people do we have to watch dying? I would like to know who the people were who the guys were who were shot. I'm guessing they're male. Does anybody know? Does anybody have any links for that? Was it 2 white guys, 2 non-white guys who were shot by lock and wall? Thank God that we always allow these anti-white animals to come into the West so they can do this, because white lives don't matter. They simply do not matter. You know, a couple of months ago, the Hermes character, who is wont to go around interviewing people, claiming himself to be pro-white, and to go around interviewing people on the street and interviewing pro-white content creators, all of them who are not pro-white at all, they're just all anti-non-white. He tried to hold a rally for white people. Did you hear about that? And he got like some astronomical, like 150,000 people online were like, I'm there. Like 4 people showed up. And what were they there? Were they there for white people? If they are imbibing Hermes content, no. They were there to complain about Jews. Lockenwall. So happy we got a Lockenwall anti-white terrorist. That's right there, if you can see the scrum where they have what I'm assuming is Lockenwall. And they're fighting to cuff him there. I would have a really hard... It's a good thing I'm not the guy out there, because I'd have a hard time not pulling his head off. Beamrider is with us. Eva is with us. First Last is with us. Last Independent Thinker is here. Jean Bond Art is here. Celine is here. Cindy Ben is in the house. Dan is here. So things continue to... Ay is here. Good to see you, brother. Things continue to get worse. Linda is here. Good to see you. And they get worse in the face of every other strategy to contend with our victimization that's been here for generations. How dumb do you got to be to continue going back to these other strategies? Let's get together and let's talk about another anti-white terrorist and just talk about his race and how they behave in Afghanistan and what kind of people they are and who the allied tribes were and who the tribes who were not quite allies. Let's talk about how the Bidens didn't do a good enough background check, where there's nothing to background check. Nothing but useless. Let's how about some historical revisionism, where they're going to go back in history and they're going to tell you what really happened in Afghanistan. Useless motherfuckers, every single one of them. You can see here from the bus stop, all this glass has been shot out, it looks like, or otherwise broken. I don't know how far this is from where he shot the soldiers. I guess it's right there. Looks like they are giving first aid. So it looks like this has not been updated. Again, something else to pay attention to is the fact that you have all these people on the right who will talk about and advise you that violence is necessary, feds, and then you'll end up agreeing, and then they'll come and raid your house, as we'll see here in a moment when we take a look at what's happening in some of these other communities. You can go ahead and start thanking your lucky stars that you're here. Miss Truth is here. Hello and welcome to you. Arden Party is here. Good to see you. Thank you all for coming over. Oh, yeah. First Last says, how about a get white quick scheme? Yes. Westman says, answer to question number 1 of the day. My dog would say, oh, yeah, I read that one. I love you. I'm hungry. Let's go outside. Juliet, my adorable and mischievous dog, would say, quote, I see you like sharing my pictures. Wait until I share one of you when you just woke up looking terrible. Yeah, I guess so. We let them see us when we're not at our best. Dan says his dog would say, you've been awful quiet since you found out I can talk. Yeah. Yep, I could see the owner getting mighty quiet. Jerome Morsi is here, says just the word Muslim. Chatterstan is here. Good to see you. Franklin saying, did Trump say that today? That Trump, you wrote there that Trump said that white people are under attack in South Africa. And Mark Dice said anti-whiteism again today. God bless him. Best friend of Jesus is with us. Nameless One is here. Great to see you all. Well, let me jump back over here and see if there's anything. All right, let's take a look at some of the tweets that were being shared. Let me put this here. Let's see if there's anything over here. Savage Monday says, have you heard of the group Nova? The main organizer sounds like he's learned from you. No, I don't know what it, never heard of it. What does it stand for? Tag me again. No groups, folks. Also, no groups. You can be advocates, individuals advocating for the arrest of our victimization. You are employing a practice, a moral practice in your life. You are patriots of your country, whatever Western country you're in. Do not get involved in any group. A group is instant. You're instantly going to be investigated by FBI, whatever the equivalent is in your country. No groups. No group is needed. When you have groups, you have centralization. This is something else important to the practice of Go Free, and why we are so superior is because the type of network that we operate. Centralized network, easily take down. Decentralized network, easily take down. Distributed network, floating influential centralization, impossible to take down. You're welcome. Savage Money says, you have open lines of communication with other pro-white streamers? Question mark. I had a thought that you could round them up and discuss the plight we face. Call it the White Christmas show. No, they don't talk to me. I'm ostracized. There are a few left who will, but for the most part, too gung-ho about white people, actual white people, not the abstraction that will somehow get better if only this impossible thing is achieved. We have Savage Money say, apologies for being borderline spammy tonight. No, man, no worries. Looking for any other tags over here. Good to see such lively communication. Janice over there says, exactly, condemn the anti-whiteism. Just like the Chicago incident. They called it terrorism against public transit. Unbelievable. Instead of anti-white terrorism. Jesus. Ivan is here. He says, if Ivan's grandparents, Scratcher could talk, must be a cat. If his grandparents Scratcher could talk, it would say, get away from me. You lummox. That's funny. That's probably the most appropriate name for a cat. Scratcher. Dallas chimes in on question number 1. She says, is it a cat? It says, the animal would say, I have cute aggression for you too. My dogs would wonder who I've been talking to all day, says Savage Monday. I tend to rant into the ether. Oh, that's hilarious. Because you know they're listening the whole time for the words they know. It's always hilarious when you're talking around like a dog and it knows a handful or a dozen words. And in the middle of your sentence, you say one of those words. You know it's one of the ones they know because immediately they whip their head around. Okay, so Dallas says it is cats. So cute aggression, the cats would say that they have cute aggression for her as well. All right, I think I got everybody's. Tag me again if you have something else to share if I missed it. Looks like I got everybody's tags for the moment. I don't know if entropy is working. Damn it. Let me go ahead and put on the screen. Let's see if I got this right first. Geez, the internet is such garbage. And it starts off with a well-known guy sharing. I don't know if this is accurate. Mario Nawful showing this picture here. He's not exposed, so I can share it. An enhanced image of the suspect accused of shooting two West Virginia National Guard members near the White House has been released. So is that the actual guy? Because I don't see any injuries on him. Authorities confirm the shooter is in custody and acted alone, he wrote. Again, we got a further back photo by, is that Bjorn Lane, calling for the death penalty now. Here's what we saw a moment ago, the wrestling, a little bit zoomed in, of them arresting Lockenwall, which is the person said to be the anti-white terrorist. Oh, wow, that must be one of the, yeah, that is one of the National Guardsmen. You can't see anything, thank God. You can hear the sirens of support vehicles coming. The city, of course, is covered in cameras. No control over it for some reason. This is I meme, therefore I am, claiming that this is the guy. I'm guessing incorrectly. Doesn't this look like the guy from an incident in, was it New York? Completely different incident. This person, Minority Report, saying a Muslim. DC shooter identified. So this is from a different event. That is. And then here's the other. No, maybe that was when the guy shot the two Jews. Maybe that was that incident. So that is the actual photo of the anti-white terrorist. Giardo saying dogs are the funniest people. Yeah, they are. First Lad saying he does thank his luck that he's here. Hey, he could be in one of these other communities we'll talk about in just a minute. Yeah. All right, so I don't see any injuries on this guy, though. On that article, he said he was shot 4 times. And I don't see any injuries on him. So, I don't know. Maybe that's right, but brings to my mind another point. Just take a good look for now. You don't have to think much about it. But take a good look at his skin tone. Because we'll come back to that in a minute. Let me see if this article has been updated. Yet or not. Is there any footage on X or elsewhere showing any more of the incident? If so, DM me with that. All right. Yeah, being reported by New York Post, Lockenwall is ID'd as the terrorist in D.C. Let me see. What I can pull up. And then we're just going to move along and we'll come back if we can find any more information or anything breaks. Let's see what she says.
Remember, the National Guard was deployed to Washington, D.C. by the president. They were not asked for by the mayor, but the president decided that there was so much crime in D.C. that he needed to send in the National Guard. It's been a very costly mission since August 15th when they were deployed to the nation's capital. It's cost about $68 million to keep them here since mid-August. But now the ultimate cost is that they have been put into a kind of law enforcement position, even though they had hoped that they would, we've seen the scenes since mid-August, Aisha, of them cleaning up trash, of helping, basically helping just provide sort of a sense of security here in the Capitol. It's really quite shocking, especially when you remember the president said that crime was really down in D.C. and that there were no shootings anymore. This is a real wake-up call on the eve of Thanksgiving. But again, going back to, you asked about their training, the Guardsmen really are not trained in law enforcement. And that is one of the concerns from the get-go that the U.S. Army has had over the years in terms of putting National Guard into cities like Washington, D.C. that have had a high crime rate in the past. What I've seen is National Guardsmen just kind of being out friendly, walking among the people, picking up trash, as I mentioned, really kind of being good citizens, if you will, but they're not there to really stop crime. Remember, the National Guard was deployed to Washington, D.C. by the president. They were not asked for by the mayor, but the president decided that there was so much crime in D.C. that he needed to send in the National Guard. It's been a very costly mission since August 15th when they were deployed to the nation's capital. It's cost about $68 million to keep them here since mid-August. But now the ultimate cost is that they have been put into a kind of law enforcement position, even though they had hoped that they would, we've seen the scenes since mid-August, Aisha, of them cleaning up trash.
There's so much controversy happening in the United States right now with ICE.
So this says, Right Angle News says, that this, who is he though? He's just a reporter. Says there's a lot of controversy right now, so he justifies the shooting.
Who are also wearing uniforms and wearing masks, and so there's, you don't know, people walking around with uniforms in an American city. There are some Americans that might object to that, and so apparently this shooting has happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what he just did. So all of the anti-whites, whether the reporters like this guy, Ken, or elected, they all should be indicted. Every one of these people who has been referring to the president, National Guardsmen, etc., as terrorists, as fascists, and dehumanizing them as a consequence, they should all be indicted, all referring to these people as authoritarians and that they are insurrectionists, all of these sorts of names that the officialdom of the anti-white left have referred to Trump and therefore the National Guard. They call it his personal army, these sort of things. They are all responsible for this terrorism, all of them. We cannot allow them to continue to justify and argue for these things and then allow them to just walk away. Since we can't arrest them personally, we can demean and slander their anti-whiteism, their immorality with everyone in our circles, anyone who would defend them, anyone who would defend this act. That's what we can and must be doing. We have them calling for globalize the intifada, for example, tons of videos saying that on TikTok, some on X as well. People talking about Trump putting kids in cages and breaking up families. All of this sort of talk all contributed to what you're seeing here today. Hold everyone who has anti-white sentiments, shares anti-white principles or positions, hold them accountable in your circles of influence. This is how the West was lost. This is the only way that we can take it back. Yeah, this is their peaceful resistance. And then they say, sometimes though, sometimes something like this happened, but you understand where they're coming from. If anybody can find out the identities of the victims, let me know. Tag me in the live chat and or DM me, and we will go straight to that. Yeah, the only video seems to be of the immediate aftermath. The whole city is under video cameras, which is crazy because when I worked on the Hill in DC, I used to race down Constitution Avenue like a bat out of hell to get out of DC and down 66 before the traffic got too bad. There were no cameras back then. I would fly by the White House at 65, 70 mile an hour down Constitution in my little four-banger. Not anymore. All right. Yeah, I don't see anything else as far as videos go. But if anybody can find anything else, let me know. Samuski is with us. Good to see you. If the National Guard is to be deployed, I wish they would give them authority to act as law enforcement. I could be wrong, but I suspect they have adequate training. Good question. I don't imagine every unit is trained to act as law enforcement, but they were just recently armed. And I guess that's what enabled them to return fire with pistols. Problematic Biospirit is here. Good to see you. All right. Let's keep this rolling. So do you remember the beginning of the year? There was somebody called Solomon Henderson. And we didn't do a whole lot with that story because the media really played it down. The media really made it look like this wasn't your normal or proper school shooter. This guy had gone to school and he had shot a female. Made it sound like maybe it was a lover's spat. injured 2 other people, and then killed himself. Does anybody else remember? January. Solomon Henderson. Inquisitor says, Lockenwall, 29-year-old. So let's keep him forever young. Let's keep Lockenwall forever young. Shouldn't be in a Western country. Binary is here. Reposted the stream. God bless you. Thank you for that, brother. We're going to keep the doors open here for any more information that pops up about the shooting today, the anti-white terrorism today. We'll keep the door open to that. So anything new come up, and please get it to me, and we'll put it right up on the screen. But we're going to dive into, it looks like Savage Monday says NOVA stands for National Organization for Vital Action. I would stay about 1,000 miles away from that, unfortunately. I don't know anything about it, but just right off the bat, I mean, other than you telling me that they are saying some of the things we say here, I've never heard anyone else say action in any other way in the explicit white sympathetic sphere in any way other than violence. In cuck spheres, I've heard it used for, we've got to write our congressmen, we've got to be in the streets with our little placards and this sort of thing. But, you know, when it comes to the explicit white sympathetic sphere, people who recognize races, and they'll talk about them, even the white race, and not in a disparaging way like the cucks will. It has always meant violence of some sort. All right. Why don't we, let me see, move this. Why don't we go ahead and have a few quick laughs with the quick news and laughs. We'll come back to this story, but as well as the white sympathetic, really the anti-non-white sphere, and how it's absolutely fraught with charlatans and tricksters and scammers and grifters telling you anything you want to hear to get money out of you, to introduce you to destructive habits like gambling and meme coins and rug pulls. Let me know how the audio is. Here we go.
Campbell's is in hot water after their VP was caught on a hot mic saying that their soups use bioengineered meat and that only poor people eat them. In the recording, he said this.
We have shit for poor people. Who buys our shit? I don't buy Campbell's products barely anymore. So healthy. Now that I know what the in it, bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer. You?
If the vice president of the company is talking about his soup this way, I'm never eating it again. But that's my opinion. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, and make sure to follow if you want to get all your news in one place.
Yeah, so this is what we've talked about before, that these people in these organizations, and here you're seeing it on a hot mic or recorded conversation, that they all know the poisons that they're selling to us. But what matters most to them is the God economy. What matters most is the money. And conservative white America, because it's all selfish individualism, will endorse and support the raising of the stock price of these companies. And that's how you get to an environment where they knowingly, willingly are selling you poison. Now, remember, I don't endorse the news that I share here during Quick News and Laughs. I just share it with you. We got to stop being selfish individualists. This is a woman who's mad because she went to Target and she didn't see the disability inclusive wallpaper. I think, or wrapping paper. I was going to say, I think it's wrapping paper.
Paper at Target because a few years ago they had about 5 different ones. Nope. No, but this would have been a great design to put other wheels.
So this is the absolute imbecilic anti-white nature of anti-white pigs, male and female. She wants to see disability so that people who are disabled can feel included. Well, I wonder, do you think the roller skating cats feel included?
Like,
I mean, you're going to be giving this to people who are otherwise not disabled.
Walkers and wheelchairs.
Oh, here's a mouse riding a scooter. I guess mice riding scooters feel
along
included.
With the scooters and the rollerblades. Not on this one.
Penguins feel included at Christmas. This bitch, actually, this anti-white bitch, actually complaining about this. Look, Santa feels included.
This one has a bald Santa, so I'll take that for representation. Nope.
Okay, well, Santas, if they're riding in a train, they feel included. None of this is just arriving on her brain because she's radically anti-white. She just wants to see our norms white erased. You see, the dogs riding sleds with scarves on, they feel included. What moronic anti-white behavior. I like this. I thought it was funny, this person. It's a cartoon of little Nicky and all non-whites behind him. He says, at least we are Vatican first, Islam first, and anti-Zionist. Take a look at this guy. Decided to go out back. One of those Americans that Fuentes will tell you, just like you or me, with a birthright to the ownership of this country. He's just decided he's out back and he's going to have a little fun with a 12-gauge shotgun. And he's going to show how tough he is. He and his bowed legs there. And I'm sure there's no backstop for these pellets heading down range. Oh, look at that. Knocked his teeth out. Oh, yeah. Knocked his teeth out. The gun kicked back up and hit him in the face. Look, he's running away. Well, now he's got room for them gold teeth. He's got space now. So it's going to work out for him in the end. Her, I don't know how I can pay my rent, unbuttons blouse. Him, oh, I think there's a way, unzips pants. Everyone else playing Monopoly. Mickey Mouse tards are out there, ladies and gentlemen. This is what the cucks, and in particular, the adult Disney vegetables cucks are saying. A group is looking to organize a MAGA Day event at Disney to restore classic values and has encouraged supporters to wear, quote, Make Disney Great Again merchandise to the event, dubbed the, quote, Patriots in the Park. This is how low IQ and vegetableized the white race is. These people are literally coming together thinking that if they go to Disney World and they each spend several thousand up to over $10,000 a piece at Disney World, as long as they're wearing Make Disney Great Again, that's going to shift the dial for the anti-whites who run Disney. That is the level of stupidity in the white race. Can you just see these soft, white, pathetic, feckless cucks wandering around with their Make Disney Great Again ball caps or jacket, and they're walking around big smile on their fat, oversized, orbicular faces? Yeah, we moved the dial now. I spent 21 grand here for this trip. They're going to listen to us. For the love of God. Look at we have a Karen DeLeon, a DOG employee, has been arrested and charged with terrorism after she allegedly doxed a federal agent during a live stream. To a man who said he wants to kill agents.
Federal employee
Take a look at this anti-white pig.
charged with terrorism. She is accused of sharing the name of a federal agent with someone who made a threat against them. Thank you for joining us at 5. I'm Christine Galvan. Javi is off today. We learned of Karen De Leon's arrest just within the last 20 minutes. The Cameron County DA's office says she revealed the agent's name on a social media live stream.
Yeah, and you're gonna take this over with these other feckless, ridiculous strategies? Sure. Let's have a listen to this dog because he can talk.
I just found out.
And I want to say that I endorse what he says, especially for all of the clowns and these other supposedly oppositional movements to our victimization.
That if you put your bottom lip and your top lip together like this and you hold it there, you'll shut the fuck up. I just found out that if you put your bottom...
That's my message. Update: the 16-year-old non-binary Oklahoma high school student, Dagny Nex Benedict, who died last year from a Prozac and Benadryl overdose, had a father who was raping her as a child. What do you know? Really? Wow. The father, so this non-binary person had a father who was raping her as a child. And guess what? Dad is transitioning as well. And this is now confirmed that this is the young woman that was holocausted by anti-white terrorists that you see there pictured as well. And by the way, in the article, you can see the photograph that is circulating that has that emblem on there about Black Lives Matter. So I don't know if that was added later. You can't know on the internet. You can't know. Content creators would add that to defame her so that they would get attention, so that they could get clicks and get paid and be popular. You can't believe anything. Be a skeptic. This is Black Friday, 1988. It looks a little different than Black Friday now.
The day after Thanksgiving not only means eating leftovers, but also coming up with neat ideas for Christmas gifts. That's a bit of a strain for most people, so that partly explains why everyone comes out on the first day of the shopping season.
Crowded, but civil. So what's the difference? As we go back in time, there is less white erasure. Less white erasure of our norms.
Season to get a head start. Well, if you're straining for ideas, try the electronic industry.
All the non-white people here behaving as we demand people behave.
It seems to be a magnet to shoppers.
Make no mistake, there was white erasure in full force 1988, but it hadn't reached all of the stores that you might shop in as it has today. This is a heartwarming little video, a very white, heartwarming little video. A 103-year-old man and husband is emotional, returning to the love of his life who'd been hospitalized for a month. Look at this 103-year-old man. He ditches his walker to more quickly get to and get it out of the way so he can get to the wife that he has spent many years with, and she's finally home. May everybody have a relationship like this all the way to the very end. How many of us won't because of anti-whiteism? God bless the two people here. I'm proud to be white. Look at this beautiful white female based in India. You know how many accounts I've come across with these like Swedish national flags, Norwegian national flag, German national flag, and they're endlessly complaining about Jews, and then you get all of these Jew spurgs underneath who say the women who are with us against the Jews are gorgeous, they're the best looking, they're young and they're beautiful. They're from India, you idiot. Take a look at Texas.
Dallas, Texas is full of Indians. We have
Dallas, Texas.
the video here. This is at a school event. Everyone's Indian. This is in Texas.
Indian, ethnic garb. They're young too. They're kids.
And they have a lot of kids, and there's going to be more kids. And this is a Texas. Don't mess with Texas. This is a school in Texas.
That's another myth. Don't mess with Texas. They're currently messing with Texas. I saw something.
Here's the scene at the Dallas Apple iStore.
Apple iStore? What's it called? Apple Store. Yeah, so this is at the Galleria Mall?
Everyone's brown and Indian and Hispanic.
America didn't used to look like this. I know some of you may have been born yesterday. America did not look anything like this.
Isn't that crazy? Dallas, Texas.
It's kind of like white erasure. I wonder what the song would be now. You know, it used to be the stars and stripes are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. What's it now? The Hindu god is 300 feet tall, deep in the heart of Texas. How about another one here? American guy is not actually American. And look at picture of this handsome guy. I wonder how many white females followed the American voice. Because you got a handsome white guy here. Oh, he's actually an Indian. But don't worry. Maybe he'll just tell you he's just working in India. $1 million. That's how much Somalis, according to this content creator, in Minnesota stole from the American taxpayers to fund terrorism over 5 years in Somalia without the federal government knowing or doing anything about it. And remember, a good point here, the Biden administration had hired thousands, tens of thousands of IRS agents, put guns in their pockets for them to come after you if you made more than $600 transaction. Anti-whiteism did this. Don't complain about it. We have a strategy for defeating it that's working. Take a look at this video, interesting video being passed around by this anti-white white pig female here.
How can this fucking be okay? Do you see that baby handcuffed there? What kind of fucking threat is that child? This is what you voted for, MAGA. This is what you...
By the way, that is what I voted for. Take the children out as well. Keep them with their families. They're all going home.
You want.
This is a Hispanic guy, obviously, which means he's going to get shit tons of cucks to follow him online and listen to every word he says. They'll be sharing it with all their family members. But he does have a good point here about this child.
This is the little girl who's not 6 years old at all. This woman is 27 years old.
27. And she gets released. A police officer says that the department gave him orders to, quote, stop more white people, close quote, while being told to stop pulling over black people. So this cop did an interview revealing this. We know that the police officers, the military, etc., are told to behave this way. Quote, I have heard people say, go stop more white people. What does that even mean? Go violate somebody's rights, stopping them because they're white? I used to get in trouble and have to go do racist classes because I was pulling over too many black people. But my district was all African American. Like, so what did I do? Stopping cars. I let known drug dealers drive past me because I'd already stopped too many black people. I have heard people say, quote, go stop more white people. What does that even mean? So there you have it, folks. Right from the police officer's mouth, what's being shared. And we know it's the case. We've known it's been the case for decades. Survivor, mother hugging her child after this guy, James Woods. He could be valuable to white people, but he's not. After the Ferals shot numerous innocent Americans. Look, those are anti-white terrorists in North Carolina as well. To go shoot up an almost entirely white Christmas tree lighting festival, singing Christmas songs, those are anti-white terrorists, not ferals. What the are you even talking about? Nobody is going to get impassioned about stopping the ferals. No, he's just appealing to all the anti-non-white people out there so that he can get more clicks and more views. This woman is a UFC champ, and she decided that she was going to fight a short order cook at a restaurant because she thought she could win in this disagreement. Let's hear from her about what happened.
That I could beat a man. I went into the back alley while I was serving and I fought the line cook, going at each other for a long time. A long story. He dropped me 3 times. I got dropped. I popped right back up. I went at him again. He dropped me again. I had my eye swollen shut for 3 days and 11 stitches in my eye. I thought that I could fight a man. I don't have any ego to be like, I could beat a man. Learned my lesson. I don't want anything to do with fighting.
So she's a UFC champion. I guess girls and guys aren't the same. Some loser, some guy that's a short order cook, and she decided she was going to fight him because she's a UFC champ. She's trained to fight. She's prepared to fight, and she got her ass dropped 3 times and was severely injured from it. Take a look at this anti-white Muslim mayor. What matters is that he's anti-white. I couldn't care less what else he considers himself to be. It's not important at all. It's of no value to me. I don't give a shit what he thinks he is. He's anti-white. Well, he says that the native population, in other words, white people, they have to become a minority. The foreign population will demand that the white people assimilate to them. They'll tell you you don't belong in your own country. Dearborn Muslim mayor, anti-white mayor, says America must assimilate, white people must assimilate to the immigrant population. That's where it was going all along. How about another beautiful white woman? Let's see. This new country origin thing is going to be fun. Look at my new follower, the prettiest Nigerian I've ever seen. The account was based in Nigeria. Here you have and this has been going on since I was in high school. High school daughters taking a class where students take care of realistic babies with real feedback. Now, back in the day, I don't think the dolls did anything. I think they just had the proper weight and you had to set an alarm to wake up. But they always give the white girls the non-white fake babies. Isn't that interesting? I wonder what that's all about. Might be anti-whiteism. And finally, we have our husband who loves to rib all the wives of the world. And he has this to say.
If your wife is struggling to get the house ready for Thanksgiving while you relax on the couch, help her out by telling her that if she practiced cooking and cleaning more throughout the year, she wouldn't be struggling right now. You might as well tell her like it is, because you're not getting lucky tonight regardless. She's going to be almost as dry as that turkey she's serving tomorrow. Flex on your wife with Sound Advice merch. If your wife is struggling to get the house...
Let's rock.
Spreading the lies, trying to tear down Western kind as we're rising high. They can't white guilt me, I've broken those chains, going free every day, playing their games. They think we're wicked, can't be more wrong. We're taking back the truth where we belong. With white well-being as our guiding star, we're kicking anti-white ass, gonna take it far. We're standing tall, we won't back down. We fight for Western kind, for anti-white lies, but we see through the schemes with clear, sharp eyes. From lies to mind games they try to infect, but we've got their number, what did they expect? They call us names, they try to shame, but Westmen never cower even when they defame. Warriors that are true, we're taking a stand, kicking anti-white ass, now heed the command. We're standing tall, we won't back down. We're standing tall, we won't back down.
Give it thanks. Give it thanks to Sloths for this great song. And it's worldwide. Don't forget the backward baseball cap.
We're standing tall, we won't back down. We're standing tall, we won't back down. We fight for Western kind, for what will us bound. Even where outnumbered, we don't let it pass. Our answer comes in, kicking anti-white ass.
Epic tune, ladies and gentlemen. Here you have a comment that stumbled across on the internet, and it's this interesting character here. Do you remember that guy? That's Solomon Henderson. And back in January, he went to a school and he shot one female dead, injured two others, and then killed himself. Not before making another diary entry, though, apparently. Now, when this happened back in January, it was really played down almost. There was a lot going on with the transition, and there was a lot of talk about the female being killed by this guy, which really gave the impression in the media that this was some sort of maybe even a love triangle. Maybe the other two guys had something to do with it. And so this guy ends up going and shooting this girl dead, and that he had a manifesto. And the manifesto, in his manifesto, which was, they said, oh, this really weird and rambling, he credited a lot of people with influencing him. And I remember there was a slew of names. Among the slew of names was Nick Fuentes, but there was also Candace Owens. There was even Mr. Beast and other content creators that don't talk about socio-political matters at all. So it kind of just got swept away. In fact, after a search using AI to find out what Lil Nicky had to say about this, it was a single tweet that said, it was like a single sentence. It was like, some black guy killed people at a person out of school, mental illness or something like this. And everybody moved on. Well, come to find out, as I dipped into this after seeing this little picture here, I did some research to find out if the t-shirt was a real t-shirt, and two artificial intelligence platforms said, yes, it's a real t-shirt, and that this is Solomon Henderson, and that he went on a shooting spree, left a manifesto about his what he was doing and why he was doing it. In that manifesto, he cited as his main motivation Nick Fuentes. Solomon was a radical anti-Jew. He had become a radical anti-Jew, and he was obviously not a terribly healthy person. to be able to do something like this. But he said in his manifesto, he did mention Candace Owens more often than Nick Fuentes, but he criticized her as well. He lists Fuentes as his primary influence and called himself, identified as a groyper. Why is this not talked about every single time that Fuentes is ever mentioned by the mainstream media? I'm curious. I'm just curious. I'm not saying that Fuentes literally told this guy to go and shoot up a school or anything of that nature. But, you know, if James Edwards were to, and this gets worse, if James Edwards were to have been cited as the, and you all know James, the primary motivator and inspiration for a school shooting, and then the shooter called himself a Jamesian, and also identified, because this guy, he also identified as an incel. So let's say this shooter also identified, since James is a proud Southerner like me, let's say that the guy, the fictional shooter, lived somewhere outside of the Southland. And he identified, though, as a Southerner. James is a proud Southerner. The guy, let's say he's from Maine. But he identifies as a proud Southerner and a Jamesian, and in his manifesto says his primary motivation and inspiration was James Edwards. And then he went to a school and murdered a student and attempted to murder two others that, you know, ended up only being injured. Do you think the media would have just ignored it? Do you think they, every time they talked about Edwards, they would just not mention the guy who said he was inspired by James and he was a Jamesian and a Southerner, born and raised and living in Maine, and then went and murdered somebody at a school? Do you think they would ignore that? I find that curious. Some might say there is some effort to protect Fuentes from the consequences of this in the establishment. Some might say that. I just think it's fascinating. You know what else makes it really fascinating? So we had this incident happen in January, and in the manifesto, Solomon Henderson here has this, here are all of the people I watch. And that's how he says it. And then he lists this whole line of people. That's what you were given. But you weren't given the statements where he specifically says, like, Fuentes showed me the light. I'm a groyper. I'm an incel. The Jews have to die. Why weren't you showed all of that together? It's fascinating. It goes a little further than that, because Solomon here etched into his gun that he killed this girl that he carried out his school shooting with a number of names and 2 words. There were a handful of names of school shooters or otherwise terrorists in his etched into his gun. The Sarnov brothers were the only ones who weren't, I think, mass shooters. Those were bombers. But he etched in a bunch of names of mass murderers. The Christchurch shooter, for example. You know what the 2 words were? The 2 words were gnome hunter, which is internet slang for killing Jews, and groyper. He also etched into his gun one name that wasn't a mass murderer, Nick Fuentes. So what if a follower of James Edwards did everything that I just said, identified as a Jamesian, as a Southerner, even though he was born and raised in Maine, and then etched James Edwards' name and Jamesian on the gun? Do you think the media would drop it like they did with Lil Nicky? Let's take a look at some of the statements. Solomon Henderson's manifesto, leaked shortly after the 22nd Antioch High School shooting, is roughly 300 pages, document blending personal diary entries, ideological rants, and explicit calls to violence. It's steeped in far-right extremism, including accelerationism. The manifesto is its name here. It's something like "The West has fallen, billions must die, accelerate." Henderson self-identifies in the manifesto as a Groyper incel, tied to Nick Fuentes' online movement. This book Henderson wrote, is dedicated to accelerationism. Burn this entire world to the ground and rebuild from the beginning. The West has fallen. Total societal failure. Billions must die. Accelerate the collapse. Violence is the only solution to halt the West's continued descent into decadence. Race war now. A couple fascinating things about this, I think. One of the things is Henderson is a Jewsburg. He's a hardcore Jewsburg. Online, identifying as a white guy, as a sycophantic, fawning follower of Adolf Hitler. This black guy, his statements are the statements of the Jewsburgs, whether in Fuentes community or afield, Adam Waffen and things like this. He demands that there be an end to race mixing to preserve the white race. Quote, Nick Fuentes showed me the truth. We are the last white men standing against the Jews and their puppets. That's your white man. You just saw his picture. That's what you encounter online. It is a multiracial movement, the Jewsburgs, whether it's in Fuentes' community or otherwise outside of it, jealous of Fuentes and his success. Multiracial. And online, they identify as white. That's what you're finding online. No wonder these people show up, and when you are white positive and actively, demonstrably putting an end to the victimization of white people, they lose their minds. No, you're supposed to actually be against the Jews. He says here in the very next sentence, Candace Owens gets it too, but she's too soft on the race question. He says, Brenton Tarrant, that's the Christchurch shooter, by the way, he says, was a god. 51 down, billions to go. Peyton Gendron, this is the Buffalo shooter, proved that supermarkets work for mass killings. Alexandre Bassante, mass shooter in Quebec, hit the Muslims right, period. Even the Toronto van guy knew to mow down the invader. I'm a Groyper incel. Chads and race traitors deserve the bullet. He said, I'm 17 and already a failure. Incel forever. Because of fat feminists, whores, and black thugs. Black thugs stealing our women. This black guy wrote. Transforming themselves into this online caricature so that they can be anti-Jew and fit this stereotype of the white Nazi. Of course, he also lauded Kanye West. The West fell when the Jews took Hollywood and the banks. Billions must die. Start with the synagogue next door. So when you have that white guy in the chat, maybe he's in the JP group we'll be talking about in a minute, and he's saying, start killing the Jews in the synagogue next door. These are the people who are supposedly for the white race. Start with the synagogue next door, then the malls full of a slur for Hispanics, starts with the letter S, you know what it is. Start with the malls. They're full of S and Ners, writes the black guy. He says, I'm no Nner lover, like those traitor whites. Even my own family disgusts me. Hitler was right, but too slow, he says. Accelerate. Nick Fuentes is written directly on one of Henderson's weapons, alongside the word Groyper and Brenton Tarrant's name, and the Boston Marathon brothers, the Sarnovs. And the only other word is, or two words, Gnome Hunter. One phrase. This is a, what do they call it? A tribute. When they write something on the weapon as they go out, it's a tribute to the people that they are doing. So I'm doing it for them. I am honoring them. So this is also, we hear this from time to time in circles that are supposed to be for the well-being of white people, that are calling for this accelerationism. They want things to get worse for us. That's why they cheer on other countries relative to our own that we're speaking from. So the United States, for example, China growing in power vis-a-vis the United States, Russia growing in power, juxtaposition to the United States. They want everything to come crashing down, which means you'll die. Your white ass will die. I submit that the reason he talked about Candace Owens a little bit more, even though, again, he's not crediting Candace Owens as like the primary motivator for him, the primary inspiration, as he does Fuentes. I submit he talks about her a little bit more because she's an attractive black woman. He's a 17-year-old young black guy. She's an attractive black woman. She's also a little bit critical of Jews, at least relative to Israel. And I'm sure he was fond of that. But that's one of the examples of, for some strange reason, it's made indistinct and blurry by the media. That, well, maybe she was the influence, maybe Mr. Beast, maybe Kanye West, maybe. Whose name did he write on the gun? Whose group did he say, did he can identify as a member of? And of course, the argument that is used by the boy crushers in Fuentes' community is that, oh no, he just did all of that because he wanted to make Lil Nicky look bad. That's not consistent with anything that's written. He's calling for the exact same things. the point here, that's all just, you do with that with what you want. The main point here, there's 3 of them at least, is that number one, so many of these people and the increasing number of them online that are Hitler worshiping to some degree, or otherwise will happily call themselves racists and white supremacists and these sorts of things, are non-white people. We have found it numerous times to be the case, especially when they come in and attack this community and attack me personally, track them down, and then find their real photos. And they are non-white, 100% non-white. So often these people online that are claiming to be for white people who are really just anti-Jew or anti-black or both are non-white people. Number one. Number two, whether they're white or non-white, as you can see here as well in highlight, is that they will claim that all of their anti-non-white rhetoric is pro-white to make their cause sound noble. That's the purpose of it. They're really just motivated by this hatred. They're constantly thinking about what they hate about other groups of people. And they know that that's not going to be appealing. It really is just the anti-non-white movement. And it's got various flavors to it. It's not pro-white at all. All that it does is harm us in our actual efforts of normal white people to arrest our victimization. And I've told you all over the years in the white sympathetic sphere that I've watched anti-Jews destroy groups, even history preservation groups. So you have normal white people come together. They want to preserve our history, a great environment to begin talking about us as a people, and that's why we're victimized, and what steps can we take to arrest that victimization. And the Jewsburg show up, and they begin complaining that anyone wanting to talk about the white race and how we arrest our victimization is a Jew or a Fed, and what we really need to be doing, who's really behind it all? And what ends up happening? All the good white people leave. All the productive white people leave. The professoriate white people leave. The white people with money leave. And you're left with nothing but a bunch of losers that will complain. So you have this claim, point number two, that they're pro-white, and that's really just to make their self-serving, disgusting cause sound noble. Nothing noble about it at all. And then the final point that this drives home is that the Jewsburging is multiracial. It is multiracial from A to Z. This is not a pro-white cause. The reality of the Jewsburging movement demonstrates. And so many of these people, even when they're white, you find out that they have non-white kids. They've got a non-white spouse. And they've concluded that they can only be anti-Jew. They can't be for white people because they have non-white kids or a non-white spouse, which is an erroneous conclusion. But that's where their thinking goes. So they think we can all get together on the hatred of Jews, or we can all get together on the hatred of blacks. So yeah, maybe you're thinking, isn't that interesting? That January came and went, and this story was really presented as maybe it was a love thing, maybe a love triangle, and this guy was just crazy. And of a bunch of names that he listed, Fuentes was one of them, so it's obviously meaningless. That's what you're getting into in these other groups. You're also getting into this. Lucas Gage just tweeted this. F everyone in this picture. Fake ass effing Christians. LMAO. You scamming pieces of shit. Elijah Schaefer, Morgan Ariel, Sam Parker, Matt Wallace, Jack Wallace, Stu Peters. All in the orbit of Fuentes. all of them circulating in the same anti-non-white stew. Jake Shields, remember we've talked about him a bit lately. He's also, of course, in that same orbit. These are the people who, as you know, have nothing to do with me. I wonder why that is. Jake Shields writes in response to Lucas Gage, I was about to get you $50,000 from a non-Jewish company, but enjoy being broke. You can't fight without any money. So what was I talking about earlier? This defense of their fleecing of their audience by saying, I need to be enriched if I'm going to fight the Jews. That's how they defend it. I must fleece my audience. I must get my audience addicted to gambling, because that's one of the things they're doing. They're running advertisements for gambling and being paid heavily for it. How could they be paid heavily for it if not for getting their audience hooked on gambling, online gambling, a severe addiction that absolutely will ruin you? Another interesting point about what Jake, the brain dead Shields, has to say here is that I was about to get you money in this unique case. It's from a non-Jewish company. Excuse me? Mr. Braindead, excuse me? So the norm is for you all to get money from Jewish-owned companies. The anti-Jew movement, the norm is to get money from Jewish companies. But he was going to have a special case here for Lucas Gage. This one was actually going to be non-Jewish owned. $50,000 for what likely here is running ads for gambling in this particular case. Cassandra McDonald writes $50K for sports gambling posts. Lucas Gage writes back to Jake Shields, is this really your answer, bro? What the F? This guy, Khalid Solomon, which I don't know if he's actually Arab. Maybe he is in the anti-Jew movement. Or maybe he's just, that's his online persona as a bit of a joke. He decides that he's going to retweet, and he does, Lucas Gage. Lucas Gage retweets him. He said at the beginning of this post, I'm under 24/7 FBI watch, and my family got raided. I wish I'd known how fake this movement was, so I didn't put a target on my back. You all are so fucking lucky to be here. I'm so normal. I'm not without flaw. I'm not without making mistakes. Absolutely not. But for the love of God. Gage writes back to him, exactly. There are so many people I disassociated with quietly to avoid drama for the sake of the movement. So Lucas Gage was discovering that he's the short man on the totem pole. He's being treated the worst. He's getting the fewest dollars in these anti-Jew, anti-non-white circles. He's being shit on. And that's why Shields, brain dead Shields, shows up. It's like, hey, bro, you just missed out. You were finally going to get some money too out of our pyramid scheme. So Lucas gets pissed, obviously. All of the others are getting paid. Look at how much Stu Peters has enriched himself. By the way, he started, and you can find in these threads, a meme coin that he called JP, a different JP. JP standing for Jew Proof. And apparently he rug pulled it. So he got a bunch of people to invest in it, took out the actual currency and said, oh shit, the coin is lousy. Sorry about that. So Lucas finds out he's the short man on the stick in these anti-non-white circles and decides he's going to quietly leave. He says for the sake of the movement. But what movement in there? He's articulating that it's all a scam. It's all just grifters. He quietly left. He wanted to quietly leave because they come after you, because they destroy your reputation, because maybe they swat you, because maybe they make your life miserable in a number of ways, just like a cult. And it is those kind of people that love to throw around the "you are a cult" calumny at others if you're not in their grift. He says, all that has done is lead to this point. Now I have to cook every piece of shit on this app. Well, what did Khaled Solomon tweet in full? He said, I'm under 24/7 FBI watch and my family got raided. I wish I had known how fake this movement was, so I didn't put a target on my back. Since the cat's out of the bag, there is a lot you guys don't know that happens behind the curtains. Lucas disassociated himself from the JP. Now, this isn't the coin that he's talking about. He's talking about a private group online that was called the Jewish Problem Group. He disassociated himself from the JP group a while ago because he sensed the bullshit and said the group would never succeed. Succeed at what? Really? You're going to deprive Jewish people of power? Give me a break. That is obviously just a con man conning dupes and getting money, attention, etc. out of them. Of course, it was never going to succeed. I personally thought he was being overly critical, but he turned out to be right. I left the JP group when they decided to include Ken O'Keefe, and the group leader called me a hypocrite for it. They tried to claim Lucas was putting me up to it all, which was all assumptions. I make my own decisions. Materialistically, leaving the group would not have benefited me. So it was a benefit financially to be in the group. I could have stayed to network with all the big JQ, Jewish Question, accounts, like Jake Shields and many others. But there's something called morals and integrity. What is a man without it? Was it really morals and integrity? Nah. He would have immediately had nothing to do with these people if he had morals and integrity, just as I would tell them all to themselves off to hell. Now, there's other factors here. Probably bottom man on the totem pole, getting the least amount of dollars out of the pyramid schemes. Sounds cliche, but it's literally what everyone lacks in this Talmudic society. We need men with a strong, uncorruptible minds. That is scarce. That scares people. Well, I think as content creation, as known content creators out there, there's been a guy with a consistent message for decades and that has suffered over and over as a consequence of it. No, not like Lil Nicky, who has made himself a millionaire buying properties in Chicago and Florida and who knows where else, who endlessly claims about how hard it is for him and how much he's put upon. No, there's no money here. There's no money. There's no buying properties. I can barely afford rent. Barely afford to feed myself. And I still stay true to white well-being. Khalid writes on, it seems everyone is just riding the grift. I am currently trying to relocate my mom after that raid, and I never once set up a GoFundMe despite people asking to donate. I have never been monetized on, I guess, the media platforms here, and never made a single penny off the JQ, he claimed. So maybe that's the problem. He was watching these others and he was waiting for his opportunity, and it was never coming. He says, but I'm the hypocrite. Everyone is fake, he says. Everyone is fake. Lucas is the last real one of the big accounts, of the JQ accounts. And I know there are real smaller accounts, but the algorithm purposefully does not give them a chance to grow. I wonder who are behind all of these others. I wonder what network is there behind Fuentes, behind Shields, behind Morgan Ariel, behind Stu Peters, behind so many of these people that keep them there in your face. He finishes with, Jews are going to win because there are no leaders. I'll see you guys when they usher in the Armageddon wars and they wipe out half the world, he says. It could be the final solution to the JQ, he writes, that the Jews themselves will self-destruct on their own power. This is what happened as a consequence of being a member of the JP Jewish Problem Private Group online. This morning, the FBI SWAT team raided my mom's home. They appeared with roughly 12 vehicles and a large white van and closed off both sides of the street. I was an hour away, but my brother, who was present, requested them to show him a warrant. But instead, they launcher-fired 2 projectiles into the front-facing windows. I'm not sure what it was. Breaking the windows, and they broke down the door. They sent in a robot with cameras. They handcuffed the brother. They searched the entire house. They confiscated legally registered firearms, rifles, munitions, and gun gear, as well as all the phones and MacBooks. They interrogated my mother. This sounds like what were they, the 3 percenters? Is that what they were called? Another one of these groups. And they met occasionally. Everybody went to jail for a long time. Turns out they did have a search warrant, though they didn't present it upon request. And after finding nothing, no arrests were made. However, they still took the firearms and the personal devices. So far, all I know is they received reports, tips of a credible threat, but still don't know what the threat is. When they finally left, I was able to speak to my mom. She was sobbing frantically. They scared the hell out of her, and literally for nothing. Short video of the FBI vehicles in front of the house. He has a back and forth with Morgan Ariel. I think this is it. Here it is. In response to Lucas Gage, Morgan Ariel, ardent Fuentes supporter and circulating in these groups, she says, "Oh, whittle Lucas upset. You've been crashing out ever since you lost money on a meme coin because your boomer brain doesn't know how to trade. You don't have a problem, though, when you use people to promote and sell your book," which she's holding here. "The Conquest of the World by the Jews." Lucas Gage. Morgan writes on, "You're a freaking demon dude." And is somebody have the response for her? Lucas does. This was his response to Morgan Ariel. Let's see, he writes, you're Jewish. You claim to... Now, what was I just saying about the anti-Jew movement? Multiracial, including Jews. Don't forget that Lil Nicky himself said his best friend is Jewish in his interview with Tucker, and his personal assistant is Jewish. It's astonishing. It is astonishing. You're Jewish, he says. You claim to speak to God directly, which is literally insane. He says, my book isn't a vice like the gambling that they're selling to their followers. He says it exposes your tribe. And number 4, you use the scammer excuse of can't trade when it's a scam to justify the scam. And then finally, number 5, actually, she's still not, he says, disavowing gambling. This is the anti-non-white movement. They claim to be pro-white to make their endeavor seem noble. They are multiracial. Very often, they present themselves as white and worshipers of Adolf Hitler or worshipers of the Constitution or etc. This is what they are. This is the movement outside of white positivity. So not to pass up the obvious, but this other group that was created by this guy called The General, who claimed to be a soldier in Afghanistan for years. And he started this thing called the Ethno-American movement. And on their website, he says the first thing that has to be done is we have to create the ethnic American. I mean, there's not enough time. We're going to wrap up here. That is the most absurd, childish thing that I've heard in a long time. Preposterous. And using this, by the way, this not euphemism, but dysphemism for the white race, ethno-American. Using this dysphemism, and I wonder if that paired with all of the talk about being a constitutionalist and etc., is really meant to just grift off former soldiers and normal white Americans. I say that because it was revealed by Elon Musk with this little addition to X about location and where people start their accounts, that this guy is in Turkey. Not only is he in Turkey, but he's been there for, according to his account, 10 years. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears to be saying that he's in Turkey period, this great American who has a slew of single white females with children that are ardent followers of his, the same kind of women that charlatans we've heard over the years abuse and take in with their lies, and then get the women buying them cars and giving them money for the failed business venture. And don't worry, he'll get her back triple the money and all of this kind of thing. You know, before the internet was big and they used to do these like little documentaries on the news, you heard about these kind of guys all the time. Would go to these needy, lonely women who are struggling with their children, and especially since they've indulged the shit out of their children and they really are disobedient and they're big enough to beat them up. They're really needing a man. And this guy ends up with all of these kind of females in his midst. That's curious. Aren't you lucky you found White Wellbeing? Do we have any other news? Let me see what you all are writing. We'll take a look at the financial gifts. And tag me as No White Guilt. We're going to wrap it up here. Then we'll start shortly after that with the Rebel Roundtable, and I'll get your thoughts. I don't guess we have any more info on the anti-white terrorist in Washington, D.C. Lockenwall. Let me just refresh this and see. Let's go ahead. We know he'll be here. He's not here yet, but we know he'll show up. Let's give it up for Dude Bro Moment. Let's get some quadruple 07s over there. Big salutes for Dude Bro Moment. $50. We know he'll be coming through like the living legend that he is. And he'll be writing with those 50 White Wellbeing dollars for White Wellbeing. God bless the great Dude Bro Moment. Raucous emojis for him. Crowns and gems. And we'll see if we got anything else to celebrate. Tag me as No White Guilt. These really take away from this, that these anti-non-white grifting circles who present themselves as pro-white to make their cause sound legitimate are some of the most seedy, deceitful, skanky, sleazy, garbage people that you'll ever meet, that you'd ever know, that your mother would warn you about if she loved you. You don't want to associate with any of these people. And the groups that they create and the followers with this crazed cult-like mindset over positions that have no logical process by which you go from where we are today to the arresting of our victimization. These are extraordinary charlatans. These are the people who call your grandmother up on the phone and pretend like they're from the bank to get her to empty her account. That's who these people are. And thank God that I turned them off so profoundly. Thank God that they hate me. Evil, deceitful mountebanks and toadies, like they hate honest, straightforward people that have a clear-cut agenda that spell out step by step how each participant's life can be improved. And then as a consequence of the replicability and scalability, all of our lives can be improved. We can arrest our victimization. They hate men like that. They don't associate with men like that. Thank God. All right, I think that's all we have to celebrate. We have Weldon here dropping a $5 bill saying, "Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. God bless y'all." Well, God bless you, good sir. $5 bill from Weldon. Really appreciate you. $5 from First Last. Dropping a $5 bill on the party. God bless you, brother. Really appreciate you. He says, keep going. Let me refresh. Tag me. Don't forget the Rebel Roundtable is coming shortly after we wrap it up here. George over here says, to be pro-white, you have to defend against anti-whites. That's what we're doing. That's what we do. But he tacks in at the end there, many Jews are anti-white. Yes. And so I don't care what legs they passed between when they came into this world. I care whether or not a person is anti-white. And I can, and we do, effectively arrest our victimization with the tools here focusing on anti-whiteism and anti-whites. The conversation, the complaining about Jews will not create a people out of our deracinated race. And we need a people if we're going to be able to put an end to our victimization. You can go back all the way to Ford and a 90 plus white America that was infinitely healthier than white people today. And that didn't work then. It doesn't work ever. It's never worked. You know, maybe not you, George, but these people, they show up and they're like, they're noticing. They're just but they fail to notice the context that they're in. So they're blind as bats. That's the problem. Jews are not hurt. They are not harmed. They are not undermined, anti-white Jews or otherwise, by complaining about their power or complaining that they work together. Some of them, a percentage of the whole or whatever you want to imagine. It doesn't hurt them. But so many of these people act like when you want to focus on our well-being, when you want to focus on us, they act like you're protecting them from their thoughts that would hurt them if it weren't for me and white well-being saying focus on us. Big thank you to Land of the Fake for gifting Savage Monday a subscription on a Premium Rumble. God bless you for that. Remember, tag me. I otherwise am unlikely to see if you have a comment for me. We have Hartza, the House of Hartza, otherwise known as D Live, financially gifting 1 lemon of cryptocurrency on D Live. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Didn't miss anybody on Odyssey. Nobody else here on Entropy. Janitor of White Noir reposted the stream. God bless you for that. Robert reposted the stream. God bless you for that. Subscribe star is blank. Didn't miss anybody there. And we got everybody here on the app that permits cash. Mestizo Cough is in the house. He says, sorry for my absence. I was helping prepare tomorrow's Thanksgiving turkey. No, brother, you don't need to apologize. Happy Thanksgiving to you. You're a hero. I knew a bunch of people would be busy with Thanksgiving, and I hope they'll come back and have a go on this roll-in gathering. All right, then. I guess I don't see any other tags here for me. Very good. Well, you know, you can continue to wade through the refuse, the criminals, the riffraff, the malefactors that populate the content and promulgation of that content in the anti-non-white circles. You can continue to endure that. Have your light not be able to say anything. I mean, tomorrow, just compare what Thanksgiving would be like. You could go sit down at the table. You could be with the family, and you could start hating on non-whites And I wonder how well that's going to do. Or you could start defending the white race. You could start advocating white well-being. You could start condemning those in your family. Could you imagine condemning family members? What kind of crack house would that be for not hating Jews or hating blacks? You can condemn family members for being anti-white. You can condemn friends for being anti-white. And you can throttle that up and throttle it down and achieve what we need to achieve before it's too late. And with that, we'll turn it over to the one and only 4-0. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. Might come back tomorrow. We'll see. Just to say hello to everybody who is free to say hello and not with their families. Other than that, it's been a pleasure. Roll out.
For a place to do my thing. Well, I'm out to find me a wealthy woman in a line of work that won't take no diploma, and I ain't got much to lose and a lot to gain. Some call me a good time fella. I ain't black and I ain't yellow. I'm a white man looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they're giving, 'cause I'm proud and white and I got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you gotta hump and get it. I'm a white man looking for a place to do my thing. Now hump and get it.